Meet Annie and Frank. Annie and Frank are two very different people that work in similar fields, but with very different temperaments. Unlike Frank, who takes a taxi from the subway to work, Annie enjoys a nice stroll through the park every morning. Day after day, Frank hosts team management meetings as well as trains new employees on the ways of the business. Annie is an administrative assistant at a top firm and is busy daily with her boss's errands and assignments. One week, Annie noticed a man who was stumbling around confused in the subway station. Frank would walk on as if he barely even noticed. Frank would go about his day, heading home, thinking of nothing but the work for the next day and things he would need to get done. No matter what, as Annie's day went on, she couldn't shake the feeling that the man at the subway station needed help somehow. Annie was not wrong. The poor man had been stumbling around for days, lost, not knowing where his home was or his family. That next morning, Annie was on a mission. She got ready for work and was determined to help the man at the subway station. As the hustle and bustle went about that morning, she did not see the man, but was hopeful he would be there that evening. The day went as usual, and she completed all her work, just waiting and waiting for the clock to hit 5. As Frank went about his day, it was business as usual, not a second thought to his mind about anyone else but himself and where he was heading. Annie was relieved to see the man at the subway station on her way home. She offered to take him to the hospital and get him some help. Annie safely got the man to the hospital and was able to explain to the nurse the situation and make sure that he would be cared for until he was all better. Day after day, the man received fluids and medications to ensure that he would return back to 100%. Slowly but surely, the man's health improved, and the nurse was able to call Annie and give her the good news. As Annie was casually picking up groceries for that week, she had received the call. She left the store to visit the man at the hospital and see how he was. The nurse explained the man had been disoriented, and thanks to Annie's help, the fluids and medications, and the hospital staff, he had fully recovered. It turns out the man's name was George, and he had been so grateful for all of Annie's help while he had been in this time of distress. After the hospital, Annie and George went to have lunch. They spoke about life and where they had been and where they were going. After lunch, Annie took George home. He offered to make her coffee, just another little thank you for all she had done for him. George couldn't thank Annie enough. It had been days that he had been confused and lost, and she was the only one who offered to help him. Annie was so happy that she could help and make a change, and really hoped that her kindness would influence others to do the same in the future. At the end of the day, we should all strive to be like Annie and to help those we see in need to make this world a better place.